Back behind the line, Reyes says. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. The rifle at his shoulder gleams like a line of light, and the wind is about to turn mean. If stories like this, reverent, high stakes, true to the marble, move you, subscribe now so you don't miss what comes next. Because in the next breath, someone decides clicks weigh more than the dead. The sky over Arlington bruises purple. Mist drifts across the rows of white headstones like memory itself shifting. The tomb waits, inscrutable, patient as stone scripture. Boots strike the plaza, measured, inevitable. 21 steps, 21 seconds. Reyes counts his breaths in threes and feels the air thicken with the storm. The man with the phone angles through the crowd where the velvet rope sags. Red tally light on, grin fixed. It's just a picture, bro, he says to nobody and everybody, because the lens is what he's talking to. Victor Hale. The name will matter later. Right now it's just noise flirting with a boundary that isn't a rope. It's a promise. Reyes pivots. Heel kisses marble. Toe finds the seam. He doesn't look at the man. He looks past him, through him, to the tomb, to the names not written and the ones written on hearts. His right thumb brushes the lower sling swivel. Small movement, a ritual, a lock turning. Remain behind the line and maintain silence and respect, he says, clear as rain on glass. Hale laughs for the stream. Respect works both ways, hero. The wind lifts the flag, snaps it hard, and a murmuring tide rolls through the watchers. A woman near the front, gray hair pinned neat, hands folded over a small purse, white gloves tucked in, draws a breath and holds it. Mrs. Ruth Ellison does not speak. Grief taught her that silence can be louder than every siren in a city. One more step, and Hale's shoe toes the velvet. He leans in to frame the tomb just so. The rope bites against his jacket with a whispering rasp. Reyes takes a single measured step toward him. No rush, no heat. Rifle angled, body between the breach and the sacred. The plaza is the world. Sir, Reyes says, syllables crisp as the crease in his trousers, behind the line. A sliver of quiet opens like a doorway. You could walk a life through it. Hale lifts the phone higher, half laughing, half daring. What if I don't? SSG Elijah Brooks stands a measure behind, eyes on the line like a surveyor of conscience. He does not speak. He never speaks unless he must. SFC Miriam Kane's jaw tightens once, twice, hands loose but ready. A thunderhead rolls its shoulder, first fat drop on hot marble, ozone and the smell of wet stone, like the air is washing its hands before judgment. Hale's elbow bumps the rope. He gasps, performer's gasp, and stumbles a half-step inside. Not a leap, not a charge, a trespass as thin as a shadow. Enough. Reyes's voice doesn't rise, it roots. Back, now. Hale flinches at the tone, then recovers, grin wider. He pivots to the camera, lining Reyes's rifle into frame, hunting a thumbnail a million strangers will click. He steps in again, just that much. Reyes takes the space, one precise step. His shoulder blocks the tomb from the lens. The rifle remains disciplined, never threatening. Barrel cut to the safe sky. Left hand open, palm a firm wall. The contact is nothing. Shirt fabric against bone, a guardrail of flesh. Hale goes back a pace, more surprise than pain, shoe squeaking on wet stone. Whoa! Did you see that? He yelps to the stream, clutching his elbow like a prize. He shoved me. A sound like a crowd, remembering how to breathe, rises and falls. Mrs. Ellison's fingers tighten over the purse. She still does not speak. Kane shifts forward. Brooks's gaze never leaves the line. He makes a call with his silence. The tomb first. Optics later. Reyes returns to his mark, breath steady, eyes front. 21-second stretch. Rain freckles the rifle's stock, tiny stars on walnut. Blue lights flash at the far edge of the plaza. Military police moving with that clipped purpose that says a radio somewhere muttered the word assault. Hale angles his phone so both he and the approaching MPs are in frame. His smile is small and bright as a blade. Sergeant, Kane says, voice low, two jaw clenches. She's feeling the weather turn, the social kind. Brooks says nothing. The command is in his posture. Hold. The MPs step onto the marble, boots translating authority into percussion. Specialist Daniel Reyes? One asks, eyes tracking the rifle, then the rope, then the man who can smell a headline. Reyes doesn't break the line. He speaks without turning. On the line. Lower your weapon, the MP says, not understanding that the weapon is already as low as respect allows. Rain strings between brim and cheek. The plaza is slick now, the air like a held breath. Reyes slides the rifle to inspection port, textbook, and presents himself. This is the tomb of the unknown soldier, he says, not to argue, but to remind the universe of its geometry. Hale talks to his phone. We got him. He put hands on me. Live stream. Don't you dare cut. Mrs. Ellison's voice, barely a thread, finally rises. He protected my son, she says to no one the camera cares about. All of them. Kane moves to Reyes's shoulder. You are not alone, she says, just loud enough for him. Her sleeve brushes his. The fabric is crisp, angular, human. Brooks steps in at last, eyes still on the line as if to anchor the world. Specialist Reyes, he says, precise as a metronome. Do not resist. Reyes nods once. The MP's hand is cold on his wrist. The cuff ratchets shut with a sound that draws a perfect circle of silence around the tomb. Even the rain seems to hold. The red tally light on Hale's phone does not blink. A second cuff. A pause, big enough to fit a choice into. Reyes turns his face, not to Hale, not to the crowd, but to the marble, cool, rain-washed, eternal. He counts 1, 2, 3. Breath catches at the edge of a prayer he was never taught to say out loud. The MP leans in. You're under apprehension pending charges, he begins. Lightning veins the sky. For a heartbeat, the world is white. And in that white, Hale lowers the phone just enough to whisper, off mic, off script, got you. The cuffs click tighter. The crowd goes wordless. Brooks's eyes, finally, leave the line and find Hale's lens. The storm breaks. Say your name for the record. The fluorescent lights in the old guard admin room flatten every shadow, every secret. If you're following this fight for truth and legacy, subscribe now. Because the deeper you get, the more honor's edge can cut. Somewhere, rain beads down a window. Inside, silence feels like a glove pulled tight. Specialist Daniel Reyes, he answers. His voice is steadier than he feels, spine pressed to the rigid plastic of the chair. SFC Miriam Kane stands over him, reading from a form that weighs as much as a rifle. You have the right to remain silent, she says. Her jaw clenches, once, twice. You have the right to consult with a lawyer. The regulation words sound thin in her mouth. You understand these rights? He nods, thumb brushing his sling out of habit, searching for anchor. The pen in her hand clicks out a restless staccato. Tick, tick, tick. The sharp scent of old coffee cuts through antiseptic and starch. Kane's blouse is perfectly pressed, but there's a quiver in the fabric near her wrist. Stress, or maybe just rage at the world for letting this happen here. I followed protocol, Reyes says. 21 steps, he crossed, I redirected. Kane holds his gaze. And after, you made contact. His breath stutters, the memory loops, Hale's elbow over the line, the moment of touch. Minimal force, Reyes says like a mantra. The room is a box, 4 white walls, 1 army clock that ticks too slow. On the desk, an evidence bag, his gloves still wet from the plaza rain. He wants to ask if the tomb's been relieved, if someone stands watch now, but pride seals his lips. Kane leans in, lowers her voice. You're a sentinel. They'll hold you to the highest mark. Don't let them write your story for you. The moment stretches. Sound of the rain against glass, a world away from the marble. Kane slides a paper across the desk. Article 31. You sign here. You can wait for Jag. Reyes looks at the paper, sees his name already printed. He signs, handshaking once before steadying. I'll answer, he says. This isn't what it looks like. Kane offers the faintest nod, then leaves, boots echoing down the sterile hallway. The admin room feels colder. He's alone with the tick of the clock, the hum of lights, the aftertaste of coffee gone bitter. Across post, JAG offices pulse with early morning energy. A monitor glows, the air hums with the AC vents roar, paper smell sharp as chalk dust. CPT Lena Park, defense counsel, sits at her desk tapping her pen, once, twice, before pushing the play button on a paused video frame. CPT Aaron Whitaker, trial counsel, stands by the door, arms folded, his tie not as perfect, his eyes unblinking. Everything rides on this footage, Whitaker says. The world saw it. They're still seeing it. Park doesn't look up. The world saw what Hale wanted them to see. It's not the whole event. SSG Brooks enters briefly, precise as always, and lays a folder on the table. I've logged the incident. We'll cooperate fully. Specialist Reyes followed every procedure until that point. His eyes never leave the seam between tiles, as if measuring right and wrong by the millimeter. Whitaker doesn't break. He made contact. It's assault or conduct unbecoming. Either way, the Army can't afford the look. Brooks meets his stare, voice razor thin. We can't afford to betray the line either. Park pauses the video on a critical frame. Reyes step, Hale's stumble. The exhibit sleeve is slick in her hand. Where's the unedited bystander video? There's a missing 90 seconds. Whitaker shrugs, but a flicker of unease betrays him. It's being reviewed. Livestream was patchy. Park narrows her eyes, replaying the frozen moment. Reyes blocking the lens, the tomb haloed by rain. Produce it, she says. Chain of custody, full metadata. Jag's working it, Whitaker says, shifting his weight. Park slides the frame forward, sharp and unsparing. You know what's at stake here? Not just a Sentinel's future, what that plaza means. You want the world to believe we can't even protect the unknown? Silence. Only the roar of the vent fills the gap. She notices a detail, a time code skip, an odd compression artifact. Something isn't right with the file. She writes down a note, her pen tapping twice against the desk. Brooks nods to her, then exits with a click of the door. Park leans back, watching the rain start again outside. This isn't over, she murmurs. At the plaza, rainwater still pools in the marble seams. Somewhere, a new guard walks the line, steps echoing hollow beneath a sky bruised by scandal. Honor is a narrow bridge, and below it, doubt, press, the cold calculus of perception. Back in JAG, a paralegal opens a fresh message. Subject, live stream buffer, recovered data. The attachment loads, flickering to life. Park leans forward, scanning frame by frame. There's a gap, a cut, almost surgical. She checks the metadata. A single field blinks red. Last edit, not by original device. Her heart thuds. The world's eyes are watching, but the real story is being written in hidden code. The charge sheet lands on her desk. New spec added, conduct unbecoming. Park's pen taps once, twice. Somebody's tampered with this, she whispers. She glances through the glass. The hallway is empty, but the stakes have never been higher. Outside, thunder rattles the windows, and a Sentinel's honor hangs in the balance. Defense moves to compel full production of all video evidence, bystander and live stream, unedited. The military courtroom at Fort Myer is bright, cold, almost ceremonial. If the truth matters to you as much as honor, subscribe now. Because in this room, power, protocol, and a Sentinel's future all hang on what the world is allowed to see. A judge's gavel, hairline cracked down the center, rests in KOL Robert Hensley's hand. He nudges his glasses up with his ring finger. On what grounds, counselor? CPT Lena Park's voice is steady, but her pen taps, once, twice, on the table. The government's exhibit omits at least 90 seconds. Metadata suggests post-incident edits. Across from her, CPT Aaron Whitaker's tie is perfect. He stands, file in hand, polished like the Army's reputation he means to defend. Prosecution objects. Defense is speculating without forensic basis. The live stream is in evidence, as are all available bystander recordings. Hensley's gaze sweeps the room. Reyes at the defense table, uniform crisp despite the strain, Park ready to go through brick walls. Gallery sparsely filled, raincoats, a single pair of white gloves folded in a gold star mother's lap. Somewhere beyond the doors, the tomb waits, silent as if holding its breath. Objection is noted. We'll rule after brief recess, Hensley intones, voice as steady as the marble outside. He raps the gavel. The echo is hollow. The smell of lemon polish lingers, acrid, clean, unable to mask the tension in the air. In the hallway, SSG Brooks intercepts Park, voice low and precise. You saw it too, she nods. Something's been scrubbed. Hale's livestream buffer, gone from the platform, but JAG's IT flagged a recovery. Brooks's eyes never leave the carpet seam. If this gets buried, the story becomes what they say it is. Park fixes him with a look. I don't let stories get buried, Sergeant. In the defense office, under the hum of the AC vent, Park reviews the new file. exhibit sleeve slick in her hands, the thumbnail glinting in the monitor's cold glow. Frame by frame, she tracks the sequence. Hale's phone, the plaza, the breach. Then, nothing. A hard jump. Audio warps for a split second, barely more than static. Her pen taps twice. Chain of custody, digital trail, timecode skip, she mutters. It's almost too neat. A knock. The JAG paralegal, face tense, leans in and whispers, "Ma'am, we found the original buffer. It's not what the public saw." Park's heart pounds in her ears. She closes her eyes for a breath, centering herself. The tomb's silence is heavier than ever, pressing through cinder block and steel. Evening at the tomb, the marble glows gold under the last slice of sun. Park, Brooks, and Reyes walk the plaza, defense rewalk. The velvet rope is cool and damp. Grass, newly cut, sweetens the air. Brooks leads Reyes through the ritual, every step exact, as if memory itself is on trial. "Retrace it," Brooks commands, eyes sharp. Reyes takes 21 measured steps, the sling leather soft from years of sweat and polish. Park's voice cuts through. "What did you see in his eyes?" Reyes doesn't hesitate. "He wanted me in the shot more than the tomb." Brooks grunts. "Intent is hard to prove." "Not if we get the buffer," Park says, words flint sharp. The air is charged with threat and promise. Even at dusk, cameras glint from the far edge. News, tourists, voyeurs, all circling what's sacred. Reyes stops at the end of his route, turns sharp. "I did my duty. The rest is someone else's lie." Park studies him for a long moment, then glances back at the marble, at the names and the space left for the unnamed. "We'll find it," she says. The sun slips beneath the trees. The day's last light draws a line across the plaza. Silence lingers, a hymn for those who can't defend themselves. The next morning, the courtroom is hushed. Judge Hensley re-enters, robe brushing the floor. "Defense motion is granted," he says, voice ringing out. "Government will produce the recovered buffer and chain of custody records." A single breath is held in the room. In the gallery, Mrs. Ellison folds her gloves tighter, lavender scent barely perceptible over the lemon polish. She looks at Reyes, not the accused, but the guard who stood where her son once stood. The JAG paralegal approaches Park with a drive. "It's all here. There's something you need to see, right now." Park plugs it in. The video stutters, then runs clean. There it is. A red digital timestamp, a sudden jump, footage edited out. The skip erases what happened between the contact and Hale's performance for the stream. Park's heart surges. "They cut it," she whispers. Brooks, watching from the aisle, flinches, a reflex, a buried fear. The screen freezes on a single frame. Hale, glancing off camera, nodding to someone out of view. Who was controlling the edit? And who stood just outside the lens, shaping the story for the world? As Park turns back to face the court, the implications settle like thunder, and outside, lightning forks the dawn. "State your name for the record." Victor Hale's voice is tight as he leans into the witness chair, eyes darting between the red recording dot on his phone and the courtroom seal overhead. The military courtroom is silent, but for the clicking of pens, the distant grind of wheels on linoleum in the hallway, the hum of tension so thick it bruises the air. If you believe the truth is sacred, even when the world wants the spectacle, subscribe now. Because sometimes honor isn't silent, it's a defense that rings out. Hale, Victor Hale. He smooths his jacket, gaze flickering to Yitasway. The gallery, media, officers, Mrs. Ellison with her white gloves folded like a flag in her lap. CPT Aaron Whitaker stands, formal, unyielding. "Describe what happened on the plaza that day." Hale launches in. "I was filming, for my followers, just doing what thousands do, taking pictures, honoring the place. The guard, Reyes, shouted, got aggressive. Then he put his hands on me, shoved me hard, no warning." He lifts his arm with the performer's precision as if the bruise is fresh. The red tally light on his phone trembles with the movement. Whitaker's questions are sharp, clipped, each one shaping the story, tightening the frame. Hale repeats the same narrative over and over. "I was calm." He escalated. A murmur rolls through the gallery, sound of paper shifting, someone's breath catching, a uniform sleeve rasping against wood. The smell of old paper and polish is thick, and beneath it, the the faint lavender from Mrs. Ellison's purse, her fingers pressing a tissue soft as a feather. Now, CPT Lena Park rises, pen tapping twice on the table, face impassive. Mr. Hale, you testified that you remained behind the rope until Specialist Reyes assaulted you. Is that correct? He nods, quick and eager. That's right. I never crossed it. She clicks her laptop. Let's review the government's recovered footage. On the monitor, the moment replays in harsh digital clarity. Hale's foot sliding, elbow nudging the rope, Reyes's measured step, interposing, not attacking. Park's voice is gentle, precise. In this frame, where is your foot? Hale stares, swallows. Looks, I was just, yeah, and in the next? The video skips. Park freezes it. The timestamp blinks, and for a split second, Hale glances off camera at someone not shown. The gallery leans in. Park's voice sharpens. Did you edit or direct anyone to edit your live stream? Hale's grin slips. No, I just posted it. Yet metadata shows a device edit after upload. Whitaker objects, voice strained. Your Honor, this line. Hensley lifts a hand, nudging his glasses. Let her finish. Park advances. Mr. Hale, who else had access to your stream? He hesitates. My producer. He was off-site. Park locks eyes with him. But someone stood just outside the frame, didn't they? A silence like stone fills the room. She presses play. In the frozen clip, Hale's hand makes a subtle gesture, beckoning. Who are you signaling? Park asks. Hale falters, searching for words. The gallery murmurs. Brooks's jaw tightens from the back row. Reyes sits unmoving, gaze locked forward as if bracing for a firing squad. The smell of nervous sweat mixes with the lemon polish. Objection! Irrelevant, Whitaker snaps, but his voice lacks force. Hensley rules, voice grave. Overruled. The truth is always relevant. After a recess, the next witness steps forward. Mrs. Ruth Ellison rises. Her steps slow, deliberate. She takes the stand, white gloves in her hand, eyes shining but dry. The courtroom hushes, a different kind of silence, old as Arlington itself. Park approaches, gentle. Ma'am, what did you see? Mrs. Ellison's voice is steady, unbroken. I saw a young man doing his duty. I saw another man who wanted attention. My son is buried at Arlington. He was a sentinel. He taught me what honor looks like. Her hand shakes as she places her gloves on the Bible. It's never loud. It's never a show. The gallery breathes as one. Lavender drifts through the air, memory and mourning entwined. Park nods. And when Specialist Reyes stepped between Mr. Hale and the tomb, Mrs. Ellison's voice never wavers. He was guarding every mother's son, even the ones we never named. A tissue dabs her eye, soft as promise. The courtroom is still. Whitaker tries a cross, but it falls flat. No one can cross-examine a mother's grief. A final witness, digital forensic specialist, approaches the stand. He's pale, nervous, but his words ring with technical certainty. The stream was scrubbed, not by accident. The device log shows access by an outside account, traced to a media company's IP. A collective intake of breath. Park locks eyes with Brooks, whose shoulders tense as if bracing for impact. The analyst swallows. Authorization for platform access was requested from a senior Army official. For a heartbeat, all eyes swing to Brooks, who shifts, face unreadable. The implication is ice-cold and world-shattering. Park stands, pulse pounding, voice steel. The evidence, Hensley raises a hand. Enough. This court will recess until morning. What's at stake here is larger than this room. The gallery erupts in whispers. Mrs. Ellison clutches her gloves, whispering a prayer. As the judge's gavel falls, Park feels the world tilt. Honor, loyalty, command, all tangled in a line as fragile as it is sacred. In the final instant before the doors close, Brooks meets Reyes's gaze, something wounded, haunted. Lightning cracks above Arlington. Outside, the tomb stands, rain streaking the marble as the truth, at last, begins to surface. On your honor, do you swear the truth has been spoken? Colonel Hensley's voice cuts the morning quiet, sunlight angling through high courtroom windows, burning gold across the Army crest. If you believe sacrifice should never be edited out, subscribe now, because this moment in this room could could echo across a generation. CPT Lena Park stands, hands clasped, eyes unwavering. "We do, Your Honor." She glances at Reyes, uniform pressed, boots gleaming, spine straight as the rifles stacked outside. The silence in the courtroom is total, even breath is held back. CPT Aaron Whitaker, across the aisle, squares his notes, jaw set. He's fought for the Army's reputation, but truth is a weight on every shoulder now. The gallery is full. Mrs. Ellison, white gloves folded, eyes shining. Victor Hale, phone dark, recording light finally snuffed. Brooks and Kane at parade rest, watching a man's life be measured in arguments and marble. Hensley's gavel rests, waiting as Park steps forward for her closing. Specialist Reyes stood for those who cannot stand. His only crime was remembering the line between sacred and spectacle, between service and self. He did not fail the tomb. We must not fail him. Whitaker rises, voice edged with exhaustion. The Army holds the line for the world to see. Sometimes that line blurs under pressure, but we are nothing if we don't demand the highest standard, even from those who serve the highest honor. Hensley's ring finger slides up his glasses. This court thanks both counsels. He turns, sunlight glinting off polished wood. The charge of assault is dismissed. The evidence is clear. Specialist Reyes acted within protocol to protect the tomb. However, this court finds the Army's own conduct unbecoming, evidence tampered, honor strained. His eyes land on Brooks, then on the brass in the back row. A full inquiry is ordered. This is not the end. A soundless exhale ripples through the gallery. Mrs. Ellison bows her head, whispering a name only she remembers. Hale slumps, eyes hollow, fame spent. Brooks's precise bearing never wavers, but something in his face softens. A storm weathered, not won. Dusk falls at Arlington. Rain has washed the plaza clean, each marble stone cool as truth. The sun drops behind the trees, flooding the headstones with final gold. Boots strike the stone, measured, eternal. Reyes stands at the edge of the line, uniform crisp, thumb brushing his sling. Brooks and Kane flank him, no words needed. Mrs. Ellison stands in the crowd, gloves folded, lavender riding the breeze. The crowd is silent, not out of fear, but reverence. For the first time in days, the air is still, the world remembering how to listen. Reyes glances at the tomb. He steps out, rifle gleaming, shadow stretching long. He counts his breaths, 1, 2, 3. 21 steps, 21 seconds, every motion a vow. As he turns, the sky flames with sunset, and the silence is holy, like a hymn written for the nameless, sung by the living. The camera lingers on the marble, on boots, on faces, on what's worth defending, and who does the defending. If this story moved you, if honor still matters, subscribe now. Some lines are never meant to be crossed. Some are walked over and over, so none of us forget.